At the hour with this story, the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has congratulated the Mpumalanga structure for holding a successful elective conference. New provincial chairperson Mandla Ndlovu has again announced his support for Ramaphosa to run for a second term. Ramaphosa in turn called on delegates to stand behind the newly elected leaders. Let me take you to eNCA's Lindo Gutlekulu, who's been tracking that story. So Lindo, it's being hailed as a successful conference, and the president of the ANC addressing quite a number of issues at the conclusion of that conference. Just run us through some of the key themes that came out from Cyril Ramaphosa's address to delegates.
Well, Tulas, we do know that Mpumalanga as a province has struggled in terms of coming to this particular conference, the 13th conference of the ANC in Mpumalanga. But I can tell you that what they got in terms of the president's address was a thumbs up to say that this was a golden representation of what all conferences should be about. Of course, addressing issues of saying that coming to this conference, many people, including ourselves, the media, were expecting a festival of chairs, a festival of fists, and a festival of slaps. But he says that those perceptions, those preemptions were basically met with a fact that this was a successful conference. It was disciplined cadres of the movement that actually held a successful conference. And he says that he's hoping that the leadership that is in fact elected at this stage should be able to take this particular province forward. But he's speaking more on the fact that this leadership should be in fact it should be supported in terms of taking and making sure that they carry out their mandate. But he was speaking about a lot of issues, not just the fact that there needs to be unity in this province, but he was also speaking on the general status of the ANC in this province and in other provinces, as well as the NEC, saying that this movement is like a house on fire. He says that it will take all of them, all of the provinces, all of the regions and all of the branches to ensure that they put out the fire that is engulfing the ANC. So basically saying that there is a crisis, admitting to the fact that there is a crisis, but more than anything saying that it will take all of them, it will take all members of the ANC, whether from the branch level or the NEC, to ensure that the ANC is a house that is in fact without fire in terms of putting out that fire, but also a house that will be able to progress from this point to 2024, which is the elections. But let's take a listen to President Cyril Ramaphosa just explaining to us what he makes of the ANC and how he believes this particular conference and other conferences that are to come, if there is unity, how they'll be able to put out the fire that is engulfing the ANC. Take a listen to us.
Here in Bombela, here in this province, we're set alight by a disgruntled comrade. I do not wish to dwell on the circumstances, but that is a metaphor for the state of affairs of the ANC. It's a metaphor for the state of the affairs of the ANC that should not be lost on us. The house is on fire, and we are the ones who must put out this fire. And you as delegates here, you must put out the fire of divisions. You must put out the fire of corruption. You must put out the fire of everything that's going wrong in your movement.
So my sense, Lindo, is that he was quite firm on issues of discipline and saying that it must be instilled, in a manner that is resolute, that there should be no shying away from issues of discipline. But on the issue of the policy that says members of the ANC and leaders who are accused of criminal offenses should step aside, I don't know, I felt like he was being careful in how he was addressing it, simply because that is exactly the scenario that has played out at that elective conference in that province.
In fact, Tulas, you are speaking about the new provincial treasurer of the ANC in the province of Mpumalanga, and that is Mandla Msibi. He, in fact, has let us know in an exclusive interview yesterday that his step aside because he is still facing double murder charges as well as a charge of attempted murder. He said that he will not be stepping aside. What he'll be doing is, in fact, approaching the ANC's elected provincial leadership that was elected in this conference, and he will then let them guide him in terms of whether he should step aside or not. Now, the reason why he's choosing that path instead of doing what he did when he was an MEC of the province, he says that he has recently acquired a docket that he believes that does not implicate him in any of those crimes that he's charged. And his words were saying, I'm not charged because of this docket that I now have in my possession. But the president, Gwen Ramakgopa, who is the convener of this from the NEC, she was deployed from the NEC to convene this particular conference, as well as Natim Tetwa, who was here as well, a member of the NEC. They have all tried to address this issue of the step aside. And in fact, today, President Cyril Ramaphosa said that I know that this matter has been addressed by those that are deployed in the province, but there is still something that needs to happen. Now, I think I want to take the interpretation of the earlier crossing and earlier interview we did with Gwen Ramakgopa in terms of, as a response to what Mandla Msibi has said, what is it exactly that needs to happen with Mandla Msibi? And she has considered to say that there needs to be a further interpretation on how cadres are dealt with when it comes to the step aside and even beyond when they are cleared in terms of the courts of law. It's a very complex matter to us in terms of what needs to happen. But on the one hand, you have a person that's been elected still facing charges, serious charges of murder. But on the other hand, you have the NEC deployees in the province saying that he must step aside, he mustn't even consult. But the president says that at the end of the day, they want to rebuild the ANC and bring confidence to the people to say that the ANC is a party that is very serious against whatever it is that is bringing them down, but more importantly, around the issues of the step-aside resolution, as well as ensuring that those that are in the corruption slate are rooted out from the ANC. So very complex. I believe that the ANC at this stage would need to go back in terms of going around the step-aside issues and clarifying exactly what happens to cadres that are in that manner. But take a listen to the president giving us a glimpse of what he believes should be done around the issues of step aside, but also just speaking about that there needs to be more interpretation in terms of this.
We need to demonstrate to all and sundry that indeed the African National Congress is serious about self-correcting, is serious when it comes to matters of dealing with corruption, is serious about, yes, the implementation of our resolutions, and on issues such as stepping aside, we must demonstrate that we are truly serious as the African National Congress. Now, you have addressed the issue, and the provincial leadership is going to address this issue. During the course of your elections, you took the step of, yes, also endorsing and electing one of the comrades who is facing charges. Now, I know that you have reflected on this and you are going to do further reflection. This matter does need your reflection as a disciplined membership of this organization. Your reflection must be based on the decisions that have been taken by our national conference. But your reflection must also be based on the decisions that have also been taken by the National Executive Committee, which is the highest decision-making body in between conferences, in the form of democratic centralism. Now, I call on you to reflect on this matter, because it is a matter that you do need to address, to reflect on. But more properly set out, the National Executive Committee also needs to discuss this matter, because you are not the only province that is facing this issue.
All right, Lindo, let's leave it there. That's eNCA's Lindo Gutlekulu there with that report. The president throwing it back to the membership of the ANC as well as the National Executive Committee of the ANC. This question of at what point does a person step aside from their leadership roles if they are charged with a criminal offense? And I think it was Ronald Lamula who likened it to the development of the common law through case law as it's being heard, according to one scenario arising. Fine, fair and fine, you step aside once you are charged, but what does that mean for your substantive membership of the ANC? Does it mean other people do not even see you as being a member of the ANC, such that they are precluded from even electing you in absentia, as has happened with Mandla Ndlovu? So, Mandla Msibi rather. 5 years since the ANC took that resolution, it's still interpreting it and reflecting on it.